We're going to move on now to floor plans and RCPs. This is a little bit of a time-consuming step, depending on how you go about it. So the first thing you want to do, pretty much as soon as you know you're going to be receiving a job, if you get the email from Kathy, it's probably a good idea to jump on this right away. What you want to do is you want to send out a email out to the project manager on that job to request CAD files, specifically .dwg or .dxf files for the floor plans and RCPs that have scope by onsite on them. So I'll show you how to fill one of those out here in just a moment, but we'll look at the next step. So if we are unable to get those CAD files from the architect or the GC, then what we'll do is we will PDF import those floor plans and RCPs manually through AutoCAD. That one, if we go that route, it will take a little bit more time, specifically on the RCPs, but even on the floor plans too, it will take a little bit more effort, just because when you import a PDF, it doesn't come in with all the layers that you would expect to see when you open an architectural CAD file of a floor plan. So we'll have a lot of cleanup work to do, a lot of deleting, and a lot of modifying to actually be able to do that. But it is possible. So that's our plan B. Anytime we get a new job, plan A, obviously, if you can get the CAD file from the GC or the architect, that's what you want to do. Then we'll go over those steps for cleaning that up as well. So I could show you both directions on what you can do there. Most of that is cleaning up just calls and tags and things like that, but dimensions, whatever. And then placing all lines on the geometry layer, all text on the dimension layer, and then all hatching would belong to the hatch layer. Once you have a cleaned up floor plan, whether you use plan A or plan B to get there, you're going to bubble and call out all the millwork scope on the floor plans and RCPs. And then if you have base trim on the job, you will also need to create a trim plan as well, or series of trim plans, which we will go over that too. This job that we're using as a reference doesn't have base, but we can show you how to do that either way. So let's start with plan A, assuming that we can receive those CAD files from the architect. What we're going to do is we're going to start a fresh email. And this email is going out to the project manager on the job. So we'll tag Trevor and we'll tag Josh on this. I'll put Josh as a secondary on a CC because he actually isn't really project managing this. He's just doing this for experience. Then what you want to do is you also want to include any relevant project information in your subject line. You got to remember that a lot of times between yourself as well as the PMs that we have a lot of projects going on at one time. And so if you don't include the project information as part of the subject line, it does make it very confusing to know what job you are talking about. So we're going to start with that. We're going to go 6479 P and W 1315 Peachtree Lobby. And then follow that by CAD floor plan request. Like this. All right. And then in your actual email here, you're going to write something to the tune of this here. So when I do this, I like to give the project manager a little bit of help here as far as what we need. I could just say, hey, can you request CAD files for the floor plans and RCPs on the job? I like to go the extra mile and actually say, can we request CAD files? And then I'm going to follow up again with .dwg or .dxf and then you're going to write in what drawings from the architectural set that you need. So A1001 is what I need. And then I'll explain what that is, which is the floor plan and the RCP of the new Perkins and Mill project. And then you can just write please to, there we go, just adding some politeness. So yeah, I'll go ahead and throw that in there. It's a simple request. We're just going to say, can we request CAD files, whether DWG or DXF, of the floor plan and RCP sheet of this building. That's all we need to do. Yeah, and so you can go ahead and send that out just like that. And we are going to now show you the steps of Plan B. So assume that the architect hasn't responded back to the PM and we don't have access to that CAD file. What we can do is you can start with opening a new blank CAD file. So go up to New. All right, and then this window will pop up. If you are in your AutoCAD files, you can go there through your local disk C drive and then find this file path to get there. If you need to pause that to get there, that's fine. This is under template though, and acad.dwt is a fresh blank CAD with absolutely no layers and no lines or anything in it. So you can take that and open that up. And now to get the floor plan in here, we're going to go and type in PDF import. Should show up. Here's a red icon. It's a command within AutoCAD. You open that up, and then at the bottom of your screen in your command prompt, you're going to notice that it has an option here for file. So go ahead and either hit F and enter or just click on file. Your File Explorer window will pop up, and then you're going to go ahead and locate your floor plan and RCPs. So those are going to be under the architectural drawings, and that's your A1001 file right there. So go ahead and click open. Before you move on, make sure that you do check these settings. There are a lot here that really are important. Some of these are not default in AutoCAD, so you do need to make sure that these are on. Specifically, anything about the this one here is extremely important. And for line types, it's collinear dashes and join line and arc segments. Yeah, because if you don't have those on, then every single individual line, if it's a hidden line, will come in as a separate line, and you don't want that. So once you have all these settings set to these preferences, we're going to go ahead and click OK. And at the bottom right of your screen, you will see a loading bar, and it's going to keep going until the PDF is officially scanned in. Then there's a little bit of cleanup work to do. So right off the bat, we can delete the title block as well as any views that are not relevant to what we need. So we really only need the, in this case, we only really need the plan view, the floor plan, but we can keep both RCP and the floor plan here just for our reference in case any other scope becomes ours on the ceiling at some point in time. So I just deleted everything that was not one of those two views. All right, next up, what I like to do is remove any of the gray solid fills that are there. It's real simple and easy to do. You may have to do this a couple of times though. If you click on one of them and then in your command prompt type in select similar, it will automatically select any hatch or any fill that is within the same properties. So why you have to do it multiple times because some of them do have different shades of gray. So like you can see there was a little bit of a darker shade of gray, so it didn't pick that up. But now that that's gone, now we can get into a little bit more of cleaning this up. So anytime you see clouds and these little triangles and numbers in them, that is a revision made by the architect. Now, before we have received this work, there may have been a previous set of drawings that has been revised, and all that is on a red layer. So it's going to make it very easy to actually remove that from this set. So if you don't have properties pulled up already, go ahead and type in properties in your command prompt, get that pulled up, highlight your entire screen here, and we're going to go up to this quick select icon in the top right of your properties. There's a little yellow lightning bolt up there. If you click that, this little window will show up, and it gives you the option to limit your selection down to specifics. So like here, all that red, I don't need that. That's all something that belongs to, well, it's a revision, and it's something that we don't need. So you can tell it, select anything that is or equals red, and then include a new selection set. And if you hit OK, it's going to remove everything that's not on a red line, or not colored red. So you can delete those easily that way. Um, there's other things here like this kind of pink color, which, I mean, there's only a couple of those. You could use quick select to delete those as well if you would like to. It's not necessary, but you could. Um, let's see. So there's a line type called PDF import here that we might be able to use quick select to remove as well. It's a hidden line, which we don't really need. I'm going to try this and see if it'll work. See if I delete that. Does it delete too much? No, actually it did pretty well. There are still some hidden lines here that it wasn't able to convert into a line officially, so it just wasn't able to process that, unfortunately. So we're going to clean those up, get rid of those. And this is where it becomes time consuming, because cleaning these up is just a lengthy process, because you're going to probably get carpal tunnel from hitting the delete key on your keyboard. Um, but you just go through and you kind of clean these up. Anything that's not relevant, you don't need. Specifically, like starting with the S grid, what that's called. It's a grid that just shows you locations of what's in the building. You see these little octagon shaped icons, and then like these dashed lines that go through the building. See, I might have already deleted all the ones on that part of the building, but they were there. So these octagons and the lines attached to them, you can remove those. Again, that's the S grid, which is just to locate things in the building. Once you've deleted that, next up, you probably want to go through and clean up things like if there's any elevation or section calls, they won't be relevant to anything we're doing, because we're going to create our own. These are referencing architectural drawings. Of course, they don't relate to the on-site shop drawings, so we need to get rid of those. So again, anything like that that is kind of just in the way, we're going to be removing those. Okay. Oop, there's a remnant of one of those section calls there. These hidden lines, again, disappear, not needed. Section calls are gone. Again, goodbye. They're out of here. Luckily, this isn't a very big building, so it won't take very long. But it's still, again, I just wanted to stress how how important it is to make the request to receive those CAD files, because even after you import this, we have to scale it to full scale. And chances are, even with it importing it, it's not going to get everything perfect. Like you can see these lines here don't attach, or don't, touch where they need to. And so there's little quirky bits that really can be corrected. If we have the actual CAD file, it won't have that issue. Um, so let's see, there's more elevation calls here, there, and there, and there. Lots and lots of these. Okay. Nope, we got a couple more off into this lobby area, so let's get rid of those as well. I'm trying not to delete the hatching, because to me that is important. And I don't want to sit here and delete all of that, because they're all individual little specs. It's not really something I would care to do. So I'm trying to keep that, but also save myself the headache of doing that too. So again, these hidden lines were part of that detail call, they can go away. Just skim through it. You know, we definitely have more to do. Like we got dimensions, which we don't need. But before you delete the dimensions, one thing you should do is try to use them to scale your view to the correct full size. So we're going to do that here too. But let me get rid of these section and elevation detail calls here off of the RCP, and then we will jump to that. Hey, good morning. All right. I think that should do it. That's part of one there too. Sorry. Oh, and I got a couple more elevation calls here. Okay, sweet. All right. So before we go about deleting any dimensions, let's use the scale command. Highlight everything here. And then we are going to specify a base point, which can be anywhere. There's no rhyme or reason to that necessarily, but then you want to go down here and hit reference. Now here, when you go to reference, you're going to want to pick 2 points that are known. So there and there, I know between those 2 points is 48 inches. So after I've selected those 2 points at the bottom of my screen, it says specify a new length between, which is 48. It's going to make this uber big. That's okay. But what I would suggest you do then before you move on and delete the dimensions is just check to make sure that there are the dimensions do work. So like here, I'm at 6 exactly, which is what should be the case. So now that I've checked that, I've double checked my work. Let's go ahead and delete these dimensions now and get them out of here. Again, give yourself some time because this will take a little bit of time. Okay. If you see these align symbols, you can take those out now too. Wall tags like these, they're denoting what the wall type is. It doesn't matter to our floor plan. It does matter when we are drafting things and we need to make sure that they are there, shown to the correct wall thickness and sheet of drywall, how many sheets of drywall are on that wall. So those are important, but they're not important to what the millwork is providing or the millworker is providing. So we will take that type of thing out of here too. Floor finishes and finishes in general are not needed here. Square footage of rooms, we don't need that either. Things like these really lengthy notes can also be removed too. So I'm going to start to get a little bit quicker at this. Now, these are outlets here, just so you know for future reference, that's what that is. When you see a circle with 2 lines through it, that'll be an outlet in the building. But again, that's an electrician scope, not a millwork scope. So if I see that, I'm going to try to remove it. This is about base here. It's telling you where there's base, but we're going to make our own base plan anyway. So that's not needed either. Things like this note here, not relevant. Okay. It does seem like, as you're doing this, it just seems like it takes forever, but again, you will get quicker at it as you go. Let's see, remove any other giant notes like these. Oh, there we go. So you can see Trevor's already on it. I figured it would be easy for him to get those, but I wanted to show you both ways on how to do this in case there's ever a time where you cannot get those CADs. But again, always try to get those at the beginning if you can, like even before the job starts. If well, wait till it releases, of course, but like after it releases, then like jump on that because that's something that occasionally can take time. It shouldn't really, but there are times where an architect doesn't really respond back as quickly as you'd like. Um, so the sooner you can submit that request, the better off you'll be. When we did our pre-review too, I know there's questions that we had, which also at the beginning of the job before we even do the handoff meeting, if you have questions like what is part of our scope or um, I need information about this equipment or this hardware, etc. If you have things that pop out to you as potential RFIs or requests for information from the architect, it is a really good idea to get that over to the PM team before we even get too far into the project. RFIs do take more time to get through, like get a response back. So if you don't get those in early, you might be waiting a while to get a response back. Okay, we're looking better. Look at that lobby. Oh, there's a couple arrows up here still, but oh, and some hidden lines left over from a detail call. Throw those away. Whoopsie, accidentally deleted a little bit more than I wanted to. I'm gonna undo that. Okay, square footages are gone. Again, dimensions not needed here in this case. Outlet calls, not something we need. All right. Do, 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 do. I might spare you the expense of cleaning up the RCP at least, because I can do that after this video recording's over, and then it's the same exact process of what you're doing here. It's just a whole nother area of the building to clean up is all. There are going to be times too where you're going to have several floors on a job too, and if you do, that's also where those CADs become really, really important. All right. How are we looking over here? That looks pretty good. There's an extra one floating around there we can get rid of. Outlet here, we can toss that. These notes are not needed. This arrow, part of that note, goes away. These go away. That goes away, etc. So, these are equipment calls that you're seeing here. We can toss those too. Trying to keep the hatching there. The hatching is to represent where the millwork actually goes. That's pretty common across architects, so if you'll see that, typically that means that there's millwork in that area. I don't care about the floor finish. Outlets, nope, get out of here. Another equipment, remove the call, remove the outlet. Do a lot of cleanup work here. This is an extra big note that does not have to be here. All right, we're almost done. Alrighty. Oh, there's an extra dimension up there. Get that away. That's an extra line. Okay. Yeah, that looks great. RCP actually isn't too bad. Maybe I'll just take care of it. So once we get these done, though, what we'll do is we're going to move on to what it takes to format this in a way that matches our standard. Um, you want to make sure that your layers are all what they should be, of course, and that isn't so hard to do. That's actually probably the shortest part about importing these floor plans, but um, it's still something you want to do too. Oh, here's something I want to keep. So something on RCPs that's important is you you will see floor heights or ceiling heights, I'm sorry, called out here. And I would love to see that stay on here. The actual ceiling and finish of that ceiling is not important, but the height there actually is. So we want to keep the height. That information actually gets used by the install team so they can tell what the ceiling heights are supposed to be in the areas that they're installing our work. So just be careful about that when you're cleaning these up. You don't want to delete that. Oops, got a little bit of a dimension there. Get rid of that guy. Get rid of that guy. A little note here about the transition between the rooms. That's not important. These here are the light calls. The lights are going to be provided by the electrician. So much like everything else, like the outlets, they go away then too. You keep the lights on here though to represent where they're at, but the actual call that's associated with it can be removed. Okay, almost there. Oddly, this one doesn't have a height for some reason, but there's one over here. Weird. Okay, and then we are almost there. Let's see if there's anything else. There's a couple notes left here. A couple notes there. All right. Oh, that's a section call there. These get cleaned up like that. That's a light call again. We've seen those already. We're getting rid of those. EQ for this dimension, not important. That goes away. Another light call, another dimension. Morning. All right, that soffit is not needed there. Whoops, take that line out of my selection set. Okay, sweet. Okay, well, it's looking pretty good. I think we got everything we needed there. Oh, there's one more light spec there. Okay, it's a good idea to just skim it over, make sure there's nothing else left to go. If you don't see anything else, then you're good. So just check your work real quick before you go on to the next step. So next step here, what we want to do, going back to our list, is we need to, we've cleaned these up and we need to take everything and put them on the correct layers. So in order to do that, just like when we imported the blocks for the equipments and the hardware of the job, we are going to put everything on layer 0. Go over to properties and make sure everything is set to by layer here. And then we're going to copy all of the information that we have here. And before we move on, I forgot one little tiny step. So we already have our template set up, which is great. We need to go ahead and save as a copy of this template, and we're going to save it as a .dwg, and it belongs to the prelim project folder of that job. So go ahead and move it over to there. And for this, this is a file that will only hold floor plans for the floor plans, RCPs, and the trim plans. So we're going to call this floor plans A and T. The A stands for the floor plans and RCPs. The T is for the trim plans, and we're just going to hit save. All right. And then before we paste in our floor plans, we're going to actually remove the grid. So highlight that, delete it. And then what you can do is go ahead and paste this in. All right. So there's our floor plan and our RCP. I do like to make my own grids for this because of they don't fit within the standard drawing grids because these are extremely large prints. So we're going to go and I'm going to actually type in Ray here to create a grid real quick. I'm going to say start at 0, 0. And I'm going to drop 2 lines just like that. These 2 lines, we'll put them on the viewport layer so they don't plot. And then we're going to take the RCP and the floor plan and we're going to start to move them to where they are going to live. Let's copy the lower array up a little bit and then separate the RCP from the floor plan. That way when we set up our viewports later, they don't show up like pretty much right over top of one another. Okay, so now we're here, got our floor plan and our RCP and our nice little grid system. What I would like to do is start by taking everything here and putting it on that geometry layer. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go back, we're going to find all of our room names, and if there's room numbers on your job, you're going to include those too. But we're going to take all the text essentially and place that text on the dimension layer. So it'll show up in red. Okay, and then if you've done that already on one of the text boxes, what you can do is use match properties to then copy that formatting to the rest of the text on the job or on the other views. Okay, so now that looks pretty good. All right, and then what we got to do is we got to go back to our paper space and we're going to start to lay out our views. Just like you would for any other drawing, you're going to take that and you're going to try to find a scale that actually will allow you to fit the whole floor plan on the paper. Obviously, the larger you can make that, the better you're going to get like results of, like it's going to be easier to see what's happening. So it looks like the largest I can make a print of this floor plan would be probably 3/16. I bet if I go a quarter, it's going to stick way over the edge of that sheet, which we don't want. So we're kind of stuck with 3/16, but that's okay. I'm going to line up the corner of my view with the corner of my view alignment guide. And I'm going to now adjust my viewport so that way it fits around our view. Could even make this a little smaller, I suppose. Let's go ahead and make sure this is showing plan view, and then we will fill out the subject line in a minute. What I will do next is I'm going to use the copy command in AutoCAD, the COPY, then hit enter to actually pull in both the RCP and the floor plan. Put the floor plan up higher. Here we can fit them both on one page, but I'm going to put the floor plan up there and the RCP down below. All right, got to find the RCP. Make sure that our scale is still correct, which it is. Okay, then we're going to line this up again and resize our viewport. And then before you go ahead and move on to the next step, it's important to make sure that you're locking those viewports. That way, if you are working on this file, you're not accidentally zooming in and out there. So make sure you do that. And you're going to change this one to say View 2 and RCP on the view title. All right, then if you have any arc references to fill out, it's important to do that here too. So here we've got, let's see, for the floor plan itself, it's view 1 on page A10-01. So let's fill that out now. 1 on A10-01. And then the RCP, just bring that back over so you can see it, is view 2 on the same page, A10-01. Okay, and then before we move on, I want to make sure this title block is filled out all the way. So we filled out the majority of this already in our template training video, but we need to fill out this information here. So this is, let's see, the level of the building is the ground floor. So I'm going to write ground floor here. This line here isn't actually needed. You can actually delete that for the floor plan part of this. And then of course you want to put your initials in there. And floor plans currently don't have a project task assigned to them, so there won't be one there either. You can leave that as it is. All right. Then what you got is, let's go ahead and hit regen on our keyboard so you can make sure that all that shows up correct. All right, now we've got all that filled out. Okay, so next steps. Once that's all done, you're going to bubble and call out all the millwork scope that we have already kind of worked on previously on our floor plan. So what I'll probably do is split screen my two monitors here so I can show you both. All right, we have already done the work for ourselves where we've put in the arc or the print references that we've assigned on our floor plan, which will make this way easier for us. So I want to start on one side of this building and work my way across. So those predefined bubbles are up here. Um, Sometimes I really like to see the actual line weight as I'm placing these on the floor plan. And if you want to see that line weight as well, it's easy. Just type in line weight in AutoCAD's command prompt, and you're going to say display line weight. You can see that shows how bold these actually will show up in real life. So then what you want to do is paste in one of these, and you're going to resize it to fit around the panel set here in this case that we are providing. And this is a very, very long bubble. It's going to go all the way over here. Okay, then we're going to have more of these. We have a set of cabinets which lives, it lives right here. Sorry, it just looks a little different from what's on the floor plan for some reason. The hatching is a little different. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. And we'll move on to the next area, which looks like this P2 print. This lives in the elevator lobby, and it encompasses these panels here. So we want to highlight those, just like, whoops, I want to make sure that's snapped right there. Moving over to here, we've got a vanity in this restroom. Oh, I'm sorry, I've been doing this on, I gotta move these up. That's why the hatching was different. Here, I'm gonna move that up to there so that way it actually accurately reflects what we're providing. So there we go. Let's throw in the vanity scope. So the vanity, be careful about this one. This one has two different bubbles that it needs. There's a built-in cabinet in the wall right here, which is a part of that print. If you ever have anything like that, it's a good idea to try to make note of it or try to draw attention to it so it won't get missed, because it's going to be very easy to not see that. So I'm doing two separate bubbles to try to pull attention to that. Then we go over here and we've got the bank of shelves, which doesn't appear in their floor plan, but it does live right here. It's right in between these desks. We have a floating counter, if I remember right, that lives right here. We have this here, which looks like it's part of our scope. Let's go ahead and get that highlighted. It's part of L4. Okay, and then from there, we have more shelves that live right along this wall. Gonna keep going. So we got a couple more to go, and then we can start labeling these. Once we've labeled these, then our floor plan's pretty much there. We don't have any trim on this building, but I will show you how to actually show the trim for future reference. Okay, I think we've captured everything we needed to. So now we're going to go right back over to the left-hand side of our floor plan, and we're going to start labeling each of the bubbles. So again, those are up here. You can copy them and paste them in. I'm going to drop them roughly where we have them on our PDF floor plan that we've been working off of already. Something important here is that with these print references, although I use P1 for the PDF version, you want to put P1.0 here, which actually doesn't matter right now, but later on it will actually make a really big difference when you get to the linking your submittal at the very end. So for now, you want to put the .0 at the end. And if you get into a case where you have text that doesn't fit within that bubble, like let's say this was actually P20.0, it doesn't fit, what you'd want to do is come over to here to your text options and shrink this down to something like 3/4 of what it should be. I like to just set it there anyway, because then if there's ever a job that we have more scope that gets added later, then it will actually allow you to make all the text look uniform. Where if you don't shrink it, and then you end up having to put like a double-digit product code or print reference on there, then it does make it look a little bit inconsistent. So let's see. Then we've got P2 over here. And then we got our vanity over here. The vanity, we have labeled as C1. That was a veneer vanity and in-wall shelf. And if you got one like this where you got to have two arrows pointing off of it, don't sweat it. That's easy. Just take a line from there to there. When you format this, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go up to here and oops, I got to turn on all layers. Right now it's only filtering the 2D one. So I'm going to take that, put it on my layer 0. And then I need to make sure that the thickness matches here, which is why the line weight is kind of important to be able to see that right now. So line weight is going to be set to 0.5 to make it match. All right, and then we'll keep going. Oops, this will be L3. All right, sorry about that. We got L3 labeled. And then we got L2 over here. Now here's another one that's going to need multiple liters. So, oops, I'm trying to copy this over real quick. There we go. I copy this over to here. This is for L4. L4 takes on these two areas. So I'm going to try to stick this in a way or an area that maybe doesn't overlap anything. That's one thing I hadn't really mentioned yet is as you're dropping these in, try to make sure that you're not overlapping anything important. Like this equipment here may not be important to us, but it's something that I'm trying to not make this look more cluttered than it needs to. So keep it as clean and organized as you can. And then L5 is kind of an odd one. It has about 3 different pieces of scope on the same wall. So L5.0, and we'll need to make a couple more callouts to that balloon. So we can do both these at the same time. Layer 0, line weight 0.5 millimeters. Okay, so I think that should do it. Yeah, as far as that goes, that's really about all there is for that. If you have any scope on the ceiling, you can throw that in there. This job right now doesn't, but doesn't mean that it won't forever. And then the last step before you move on is going to be your tag here. Usually what you would do is you would go, if this was level 1, you would go A1.0, or if it's level 2, you're going to go A2.0 and so on. Whatever the floor is what the number is there. So this is an odd one because this is the ground floor, so we're going to go AG.0 for ground. Okay, and then that's it. So as long as all your information's filled out and you've bubbled and highlighted everything that you needed to, then you're set to go. Um, just to kind of go back to what we talked about, though, to show you what the trim would look like, we're going to do it as an example on this wall right here real quick. So the trim needs to be called out like this. So you have your detail call, which takes you to what page the trim section lives on, or the trim detail. And then you have this here, which is your trim call out. It tells you where the trim goes. So let's say I had trim on this wall here. So what I would do is take this trim call out, and I'm going to make a couple of these rotate as needed, and then paste those in here. Whoops. It likes to jump wherever it wants to, apparently, today. All right. Then what you would do is if I had trim here, I'm going to take this call, I'm going to copy it, paste it over here, and then you want to make sure that this is showing the exact detail and sheet number that that trim profile lives on. So if you have that information, go ahead and plug it in there. Since there's no trim here, I'm just going to remove these. But the other thing too is if you're looking for trim and where it belongs, the finished floor plan is where you want to go. So if you're trying to find any trim callouts, finished floor plan is going to be your key. It should tell you exactly which rooms get trim, and sometimes it may even tell you which walls specifically get trim. The trim plan will have callouts like what we showed there. And then on top of that too, it may refer to the finish schedule, which will have like something like WB1 for wall base 1 or wood base 1. So you're going to want to look for that too. In this case, again, there's no trim on this project, so we're actually set to go here. So I'm going to do is save my floor plans A&T file with all the changes we made. And then I'm going to go and publish this. So that way we have a copy of it in our project folder here. So publish. When you do that, remove the model space tab. You don't want that, but you do want any sheets that go with it. So then we're going to go publish. And we're going to find that in the folder PNW 1315 prelim plots. And here, again, just like previously, you want to label it like what we were talking about. So AG, AG, and then you can label this floor plan level around. And then you want to label that just like any other drawing with V1.0 for version 1.0. Go ahead and save that. All right, and it should show up in Bluebeam in a sec. So there we go. We got our floor plan, our RCP. If we had a trim plan, we could put it on there as well, but we don't. So just check your work, make sure nothing here stands out as being odd, but if it's all good, then you can go ahead and close that. And then from there, I think that's really it as far as what we've got there. So the next video we get into will be the handoff meeting steps. So we're going to be getting into the handoff meeting here actually today. What I'll do is I'll record that meeting and have it part of our training video here. We'll talk about well, we'll get into that in the next video actually. So we'll stop this and move into the next.